Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we will be discussing my thoughts on the Champions League, Europa League as well draw. Do let me know your thoughts down below. But obviously it is very exciting. Obviously Real Madrid have come through against Manchester City in the playoffs, and honestly, although we are on the tougher side of the bracket, which is arguable, but I do think that the left hand side, the silver side, is tougher. The pathway to the final, honestly, actually, the pathway to the semi-finals, to be honest, isn't the worst. Now, if you look at the teams that Real Madrid have to play to get to the semi-finals, it's Atletico Madrid, it's PSV, or it's Arsenal, right? If we beat Atletico Madrid, we will play either PSV or Arsenal. And if we beat those teams, we play probably Liverpool, but it could be PSG, Liverpool, maybe Club Brugge if they somehow pull off a shock, or Aston Villa. For me, I just think that because it is so evenly spread out in terms of Liverpool, I think are a big favourites. I think that Real Madrid are always favourites. Being on one side with Arsenal, who are favourites, I think PSG are a good side as well. These teams are on one side. And then you've got Barcelona, who are favourites as well, on the other side. You've got Bayern Munich, never write them off. The final is in Munich. I think it's at the Allianz Arena as well. So there will be more motivation for them. You've got Inter Milan as well. You've got Bayer Leverkusen. I think it's very evenly spread out. Unlike last season, where Dortmund got, to be honest, the easier side of the draw, and Real Madrid had to play the big dogs, Man City and then Bayern Munich. But obviously, we've seen it before a couple of years ago when we had to play PSG, Man City, Chelsea, and Liverpool played the likes of Villarreal. So, look, sometimes it goes in your favor in terms of the bracket that you're in, but I feel like this season it's a lot more unpredictable because number one, there are a lot more strong teams at this stage of the competition than what would have been before. And number two, it's more evenly spread out in terms of not every strong team is on one side and the weaker teams are on the other side. So the likelihood of a Club Brugge, a Feyenoord, a Lille, a Benfica, a PSV making it to the final or semi-finals is lower. It could still happen. Shocks do happen in football, but it is less likely than last season or the 21-22 season, for example. So, I think that I'm happy with this, to be honest. I think that, especially for Real Madrid, to win, you have to beat the best. To be the best, you have to beat the best. And if you are going to be hoping to play the weaker teams all the time, that is not the kind of mentality that Real Madrid have. So I really do think that you can bring on the big teams. I think Man City are at a weak position right now, but they are still a team that are strong in terms of their squad, and we beat them comfortably. Now that that's gone, that's in the past, we need to look forward and look at the teams that we could play. And first of all, you have to beat Atletico Madrid. And let me just go through the other games before we talk about Real Madrid, of course, because that's the main topic. PSG against Liverpool. I wanted that game, to be honest. I think that PSG and Liverpool is very, very special. Look, PSG against Barcelona would have been very good as well. But I think PSG, with the way they are playing right now, Ousmane Dembele has been crazy. Kvaratskhelia as well. and they've also got Bradley Barcola. Really like him as a player, and they've got Liverpool who beat us as well earlier this season. We know what they're all about, but is that Liverpool form starting to fade off a little bit? Who knows? I think that makes a very exciting game, and two games as well. I think the first game is in Paris. I think they have to make everything out of that. And look, if they can get themselves, I would say they need a 2-goal lead, to be honest. I think if PSG can somehow find a way to get a 2-goal lead, I do think that they will be very comfortable. Although the away trip in the second leg will be tough. If you had to make a prediction, I wouldn't bet against Liverpool in the second leg. I think that at home in the second leg at Anfield, it's a tough place to go. But it's not impossible to get something. Club Brugge, I mean, I was surprised how they beat Atalanta. I mean, it's not just the fact that they did it, but Atalanta. I mean, Real Madrid did play Atalanta earlier this season, and I've watched Atalanta because of that, and many other times. And they are a very solid team defensively. They concede, but their defense were cut open, like literally. And I have no idea how Club Brugge did it. They're playing against Aston Villa. They did beat Aston Villa earlier this season in the Champions League at home. So again, that home game will be absolutely key for every one of these games. The team playing at home first will need to capitalize. And I think that they'll probably win 1-0 at home. And I think Aston Villa will just have too much for them in the second leg at Villa Park. They could probably win, 3-0, 3-1 in the second game at home. But it doesn't really matter, does it? It doesn't. So I think Aston Villa are just too strong. So I see that going in Aston Villa's favour. And then I'll skip past Real Madrid and we'll go to PSV against Arsenal. Again, PSV will need to make full use of that first leg. They did really well against Juventus, I thought, but away from home they did lose to Juve, although they did win at home. So again, they will need to win by 2 goals, I think, at home. I think they will need to find a way to win 3-1 or 2-0 or something like that, because I think Arsenal are still capable of winning games at home and winning by big margins. So that's that. So I think Arsenal will go through. The other side of the bracket, you've got Benfica, Barcelona. To be fair, they played earlier this season. 5-4 for Barcelona win. I think that will repeat. I think Barcelona have been very good this season. They are a very strong team, and I just don't see how Benfica are going to stop that attack, to be honest. Dortmund against Lille is probably the most evenly matched game apart from Bayern and Bayer Leverkusen in terms of it just could go one way or the other, to be honest. There really isn't a favourite. Dortmund spanked Sporting Lisbon in the playoffs, and Lille have been beating teams in the Champions League this season that are just, top teams. Like, they've beaten Real Madrid. I think they beat Juventus as well earlier this season. They've just been winning against the top teams. So definitely one to look out for. The first game is in the Signal Iduna Park. So I think Dortmund need to get that game sorted. I do think away at Lille will be a tough place to go. So I might just go Lille because of the fact that they are playing at home in the second leg, to be honest. I think they could hold Dortmund to a 0-0 draw or 1-1 draw at home. And then in the second game, you could see Lille win by a goal or two. So, yeah. Bayern Munich against Bayer Leverkusen. Look, that logic applies again. I think Bayern Munich and Bayer Leverkusen is similar to Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid in the sense that it's just been a lot of draws recently. But I think, look, if Bayer Leverkusen can hold up a draw or even get a narrow win away from Munich, the second leg, I think they are more than capable of winning by a bigger margin. So, yeah, I do think that Bayern Munich don't really look that convincing. They play at home against Celtic. They needed that last minute goal to get themselves through, and Bayer Leverkusen are a very good team. Lastly, Feyenoord against Inter Milan. I do think that, look, Feyenoord obviously beat AC Milan, but I think Inter Milan are just that step up too big, so I think Inter Milan. So, back to Real Madrid against Atletico Madrid. Look, what my thoughts about this draw. I wanted Bayer Leverkusen more in terms of it's boring. I mean, playing Atletico Madrid again, it's boring. But on the flip side, I think Atletico Madrid are a much more beatable team than Bayer Leverkusen. Atletico Madrid are going to have one game plan, which is to sit back and hit on the break. They're going to do that. And you're going to throw 30 shots at them, and you might not score at all. And they're going to hit you with one attack, and they're going to score. And that is going to be how they're going to approach the game. Now, that's what happened a few weeks ago. Recently, we played them, 1-1 draw. Hard done by with the penalty. And then, obviously, Mbappe scoring. Could have scored more. But it is about being clinical. Against Atletico Madrid, it is about being clinical because there will be a lot of chances in that first leg for Real Madrid. And I think that if we get a 2-0 lead or a 2-goal lead, you could win 3-1, 2-0, hopefully more. But if you can get at least a 2-goal lead, I do think that going away to the Metropolitano, we are capable of holding out for at least a draw. We've shown it before. This season, again, another 1-1 draw. Previous seasons as well. We've won there before, but we've drawn there before many times. So I think that the home game at the Santiago Bernabeu will be absolutely crucial for us in terms of making use of that. It really will be. And I'm not going to do the predictions all the way as to who will make it to the final from now, because it's really, really hard to determine if Real Madrid will make it through, which we probably will, and I hope we do. If, the other teams, let's say, do Arsenal really make it through? Do Aston Villa make it through, for example? So, it's hard to predict at this stage. We have to see what happens. But for Real Madrid, I do think that it will be a tough test against a team that we know of. We understand how they play, how they approach the game, and we have to learn from our mistakes and take the opportunities and chances that we get. So, there's the Champions League round of 16 draws. Let me know what thoughts are down below. Before we get on to the Europa League, just wanted to talk about this that came out a few days ago. This came out actually not a few days. This came out about 2 weeks ago, but it is still ongoing. Real Madrid are prepared to advance in talks for Raul Asensio's new contract after initial contacts in December. Club and staff both very happy with his approach, development, attitude. New deal considered one of the next priorities. Look, Raul Asensio has been just incredible. He has shown that leadership, he has shown that aggression, that passion, what it takes to come through the ranks, to play, to sweat, to bleed for the club, for the badge, for the shirt that he's wearing. And I think that this guy is special. He might not be 18, 19, I think he's 21, isn't he? But he's still a player for the future. He's still going to be a player who can be here for the next 10 years. So, tie him up, build around him. I think it is time that we can trust Asensio next to Rudiger in the long term. But it doesn't mean that, when Militao comes back, when Alaba comes back, it doesn't mean we don't look for another centre back, because Alaba is very injury prone and he's getting to that age now where injuries are hitting him. Same with Militao, although he's not that old, but he has suffered many big injuries in the past. And you can't be relying on Rudiger and Asensio for the whole season. So I think a centre back for the long term is definitely a priority as well. But very happy with Raul Asensio, and he is just an absolute beast. But the Europa League draw, not much to talk about really. Victoria Pleasant against Lazio, Bodo Glimt against Olympiacos. We've got Ajax against Eintracht Frankfurt. We've got AZ against Spurs, Roma against Athletic Club, Fenerbahce against Rangers, FCSB against Lyon, and Real Sociedad against Manchester United. So, who are the favourites to win it? I think everybody looking at this will just go probably Spurs or Man United. But look, if I had to pick someone who is out of the box, I wouldn't be surprised if Athletic Club do something, or Roma, to be honest. I think this game here is interesting because I swear Roma and Lazio are probably, along with Inter Milan, are the only teams in Italy that take European competition seriously, to be honest. And Fiorentina as well in the Conference League. I think they're still in it at least. But yeah, Athletic Club, they have got good players. Real Sociedad can cause problems as well. Who knows with the two English teams, but it will be very interesting, of course. But yeah, let me know what thoughts are down below. Hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Hit the bell, subscribe to check us on already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.